live while I was moving my mic. I'm live? Look at that. I hope you can all hear me. I'm going to do the thing. Why isn't Rig being Call of Duty 17? I don't know. But yes, hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. Just waiting to see. Buster's on the other side of the camera. Hi, Jim. You're alive. Oh, that's cool. I'm not seeing me on the thing. What's going on, YouTubes? I can. The chat says I'm here, which is cool. I'm gonna have to reload. You can probably Jim time. Nathaniel Fogo, Bruce Parker, Sunspot Mel. Glad to have you all here. Sorry, I'm having to. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. It's taking me a minute there to figure this whole thing out. As you know, there's only one of me. But I'm glad I'm live. I'm glad people are here. It's taking me a minute to see the chat, but I'll send out the inaugural tweet. I hope it sends. This computer's doing okay today. Oh wow, it's taking a while to load. So I hope something's going on in the chat that's good. Hey Jim. Okay, I see Zane Powers, Jesus B, Cornbread, Paige Howard, Ace the Wind Rider, Sid Ram, El Mono Loco. That's a cool name. K Master, Zane Powers, George Sakic, I guess. I don't know. Ace the Wind Rider, Bruce Parker, Twisted Razor. Oh man. YouTube's being all sorts of weird today. I'm assuming that tweet went out. Regardless, I'm glad to be here, everyone. Oh, and there's a super chat. Man, I'm missing everything. Okay, hold on. Okay, well then I will switch. Let's switch to, hey, what's up? It's Movie Crap Live. How's it going? Nice to be here with you all. Since I got the first super chat of the night, I figured I'd come out and open the, here's the Red Bull I wanted. Open the Red Bull. But Bloxy Oxenwinkle said, "Do you think Disney decided to put out Soul on their service as a way to come back? Hubie Halloween, also good Clerks animated video." Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. No, I don't. But cheers to you. Man, YouTube is not cooperating very well. I did see your Patreon question. I think I have a good amount of Patreon questions in here right now. Okay, there we go. Jim will only show his face when we pay him. That's not true, but it does sort of work out. It encourages me to have to do the pre-show. Anyway, sorry about all the... I was confused. Anyway, Clerk Force, I like that. Nathaniel Foga, how are you doing? Westerner, how are you doing? Black Saxon Winkle, what could combat Hubie Halloween? I mean, I actually think that might be true. Hubie Halloween will probably get watched more than Soul, regardless of how we think about it. Oh, that's a nice cold Red Bull there. But anyway, nice to see all of you tonight on this Saturday night. Bruce Park, if I didn't say hello, I'm saying it again, just in case. I don't know. It's cool to do some movie news for everyone. It's, you know, it's kind of a crazy week. There are so many trailers. I was actually having a hard time trying to watch all the trailers I wanted to before I did the show, and I didn't get to. I had to cut them. So, anyway, it's kind of crazy. New York Comic Con's weird in that I didn't hear as much news as I thought I would be doing. Really? Mainly just Modok, but, you know, that's the way it is. A lot of stuff like that. In terms of what else has been going on, oh, I realized I can't start these shows by saying, oh god, I do remember bedtime stories. When I say like, oh, this video is going to come out and stuff, because usually on the Sunday and Monday after the show, like something changes and I can't do that schedule I thought. So I think, oh, there was a Gendy panel. I missed that one, unfortunately. I can't really do stuff like that on a Saturday, so that sucks. But I am not caught up on Primal, unfortunately, which I would like to. Well, that's one thing. Well, I'll say what I was gonna say. Anyway, well, first off, yeah, because last week I was like, oh, and there'll be a Mulan review, and I don't know when that's happening. I think that's going to happen whenever it's free on Disney Plus, just because Halloween's happening. I don't want to delay it further, but I was going to do it, and then, like, you know, one of my cats got a little sick, and deal with the vet. She's okay, I think, but it's, you know, you come up with these plans, and they get messed up. So I guess I shouldn't say much of anything, too much of what's going to happen, what's going to come out this coming week, but I will say that I am going to do a review of every ABC Saturday morning show ever will premiere, I think Wednesday or Thursday, and I also am going to do the Far Side Halloween special. I won't say what's going to be on Friday, but those are two that are coming out, as well as the two segments from here, and but I think also the Dunkachino thing I didn't realize was going to blow up so much. I probably would have organized better. It's so hard to organize when you have a lot of that stuff. But anyway, well, I guess everyone was happy with Dunkachino. So people seem to like the Dunkachino thing. I've been wanting to post on Insta Stories just the Dunkachino video that a guy named Crystal made. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Anyway, what's Far Side? What the fuck? No, like everybody's okay, you know. In terms of, because everyone always asks me this, so I'll just say it instead. In terms of what movie we showed Sophie this week, we watched Frankenweenie, which I remember liking, and I think it's a cool intro to Tim Burton for kids, because I grew up when I was a kid. Tim Burton was kind of a big, you know, he was new and all that stuff, and it was something families watched. Edward Scissorhands and stuff like that. And although she's watched Nightmare Before Christmas, which isn't technically, I'd say is semi a Tim Burton film, but I would say, oh hey Jeremy, how's it going? I would say, oh hey Jorge Espinosa. I would say those other films are a little too older, but it's a good intro. I still like it. It's sort of a return to form. Winona Ryder's in it. You get Catherine O'Hara. You get Martin Short. I find it, you know, it's kind of fun. I don't like it as much as the 90s stuff, but it's sort of a fun little return there, you know? It's a return to form for him. It's probably the last Tim Burton film I really, really liked, but I'm excited to show her the other stuff later. She was into it, so it's hard to show kids Halloween or horror movies, because naturally those are not appropriate for them. Anyway. Oh, hey, Jordan Salafalo. I think I've said hi to everyone. Anyway, before we get into more stuff, there's not going to be as many segments just because I was trying to do another one, and I just didn't feel like I had the notes or the research I wanted. I didn't feel like I could do it. So I just didn't, because I thought it would suck. But I think we have two good segments. It's like, at least we have two solid segments. One is a review of the Clerks live-action pilot, as well as Shudder recommendations with Jack's Blade, which is really cool. I'm really happy we worked that out. That was cool. I'm glad that happened. So thank you very much to Jack's Blade. You know, it's probably not the collaboration you want from both of us, but that's still fine. Anyway, and I still have like 2 segment videos I need to put out, so it's kind of, you know, anyway. And I didn't want to do Gorillas. I don't like, yeah, anyway. Whatever. Maybe Gorillas next week. I don't know. Also, a couple of people have asked me, and I answered this in the Ask Jim thing, about the Primal episode things. I just like to do seasons with Primal. I'm not sure if I'll do the episode things with Mandalorian or not, which I did last time. I don't know if those end up being great reviews for things like that. Maybe I should just do a season review. Anyway, I do have ideas for the Mandalorian. Anyway, I didn't like Corpse Bride or Big Eyes, to be honest with you. Didn't like that as much. Also, before we fully get started, I think the weekend of Halloween, there will obviously, Halloween's a Saturday. I'm not doing a show on a Saturday because I want to have fun with my family, even though I think I have to work that day, which gross. But regardless, I don't think there won't be a show that Halloween. There might be a show during the week or something. I think that might end up being the question show with the new computer and me trying stuff out. So if you're wondering, that week, or it might, I think you'll get basically the same amount of streams. They just might be in a weird order is what I'm saying, but that's the deal with that. Oh, hello, here we go. Will said, "Gonna be disappointed as hell, Jim, if you don't introduce Sophie to Monster House, of course, when she gets older." I actually, I think I will do Monster House. That'll probably be... And thank you very much for the super chat, Will. Cheers to you. I think I will. It'll probably be the extent of that imagination stuff. Imagination. What was it? Whatever the fuck that was. That's a good one. I would show that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I think that's too... See, that's the thing with kids' horror. You really... They gotta be a little older, I think. Anyway, Zane Power says the only big eyes I like is in my anime. Zane Powers, that was beautiful. Thank you. Cheers to you. Coraline again. Too old. You gotta be older. That's scary. Image Movers, thank you. I watched that. I did a review last year. I was like, yeah, you gotta be like 10 or something like that, you know? I don't know. Unless she gets into it. Coraline kind of just never goes away. So, anyway. The lights look good enough? Yeah, they look pretty good. Okay. Anyway, so... Oh, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Mwah. Mwah. Definitely. Alright. Before we... Sorry, I feel like I'm in a weird... Well, I'm always in a weird mood. It's always like that. This is like the end of my week, this thing. So anyway, let's... before we get started, first I want to say that everything that I do is supported by fans or viewers like you, either through Super Chats during the show or through my Patreon, which has a link below if you would like to pledge. It has all sorts of cool things like Skype calls, postcards, you get more power, you get more voting power in the movie review vote, you get exclusive videos, including a commentary series where I go through both every Knock Force quickie and all old Cletus the Fetuses and older videos I do, and that happens once a week, so you got exclusive content, all sorts of stuff like that, and it's a pretty cool Patreon as well. But any of your support, if you're financially able to do so, is really appreciated. Thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate all the support you guys give me. If you are not financially able to do so, just watching and liking and subscribing and hitting that bell is good enough, and I thank you very much for doing that. Also, if you like the chat and you see how I'm talking about these wonderful people in the chat and how much fun we all have on Saturday, and you want to hang out with this community anytime, really, join the Discord. Join blah blah blah. Okay, join the Discord and hang out with us anytime you want. There's all sorts of channels like General, as well as suggestions for Jim, where you can give me suggestions. Sorry, where you can give me suggestions. Sorry, Austin, I'll get back to you. Just maybe break. Where you can give me suggestions on things to review or things to do on segments during the show or whichever. You can ask Jim if you want to ask me a question I never get to during the show, or you've always wanted to ask me something. I get to every question. There's a few right now I think that I need to answer, but I really do try to answer every one of them. It's a good way to interact with me, as well as interact with the fans of people who like this stuff. So if you're looking for something to do, it is a really good Discord server. I'm proud of it, and Austin and Zane Powers do an awesome job. Well, same Powers, why aren't you having fun? I'm sorry. Anyway, Austin says, been listening to Old Pizza Party. It's a trip. I'm sure it is. I hope it ages well, at least for me. Everyone else, I don't know. But for me, as long as it works out for me. Oh, and Novelty Card Channel. Yes, that's true. I love these cards, by the way. These Star Wars cards are just... Thank you, Austin. Are just amazing. Anyway, so I'm going to start things off with sort of, it's not necessarily the funniest story in the universe or anything, but oh yeah, I do remember that Nolan did used to like that. I don't think he still does. I don't know. I don't think he is. I haven't talked to him. I sort of did. Anyway, all right. So now let's get into the actual news. So this kind of spurred, now I want to preface, I don't usually do kind of rumor stuff, and I normally am very against it, but this seems to be something that people are actively talking about, and not just like crazy YouTube people like Hollywood Reporter, Variety, like the trades are actually going, hey, maybe there's a thing here. So that's why I'm talking about it in such a way. But first off, to set all this up, we've been talking about how, last week we talked about how in Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, Jamie Foxx had been cast as Electro, and he previously was in the Andrew Garfield films, which was a separate cinematic universe and a separate continuity. seemingly, assumedly, a different dimension. And then, but apparently he might not be playing the same kind of character, so maybe it's not that. But then we heard that Doctor Strange is going to be kind of his mentor figure in Spider-Man 3, which made everyone go, maybe this means there's going to be an Into the Spider-Verse. There's also fairly, I'd say, I guess not well-regarded, but I guess notable. A lot of notable people have regarded the rumors of both Dane DeHaan and Kirsten Dunst being in Spider-Man 3 as, like, they've heard that. Like, it's not just, like, a silly rumor. It might actually be something that's going on. But there's this rumor that the third Spider-Man movie will be sort of a live-action Spider-Verse. And as cool... I want to preface, like, I would think it was cool seeing Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and maybe not Andrew Garfield, but just Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland together would be great. But the thing about this is it feels like a reaction to the Spider-Verse, because the Spider-Verse did something. I mean, it won Best Animated Feature. It was considered by many one of the best animated films of that decade. Like, this isn't just the animation community and everything like that. It really was really critically acclaimed, and this almost feels like Marvel needs to, the MCU Marvel needs to get in on that. And I kind of think the thing they're missing, and I tweeted this as well, is that Into the Spider-Verse to me isn't just, hey, look at all these different spider people. It's like, oh, hey, anyone can be a hero. Anyone can wear the mask. Anyone can be Spider-Man. That was the point of it. It wasn't just look at, how cool is this? There's a lot of great things about Spider-Verse, but I think the whole big subtext and why people play it it's like a big kind of classic kids movie at this point is mainly because, oh, hey, whoa, it's mainly because it shows diversity and the idea that anyone can do something and be a hero. Anyway, back to this. The Westerner, thank you very much, it's a very generous super chat, said, my coworker, a 16-year-old I call Thomas, the DC fan, is insistent that the multiverse Marvel is setting up with Doctor Strange's Spidey is evidence Marvel is copying DC since they're making Flashpoint. Actually, okay, thank you for reading that, because I almost forgot about this. Okay, first off, cheers to you, Westerner, thank you. Or it's Wesinator, sorry, Wesinator. Cheers to you, thank you very much. So the thing about that is that has been brought up. And a couple people have said that Marvel is looking at what's going on. They had a Spider-Man movie happen. They saw what was going to happen with Flashpoint. And they're like, how can we counter that? And I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's their main motivation. I think Spider-Verse probably has more to do with it than the Flashpoint thing. But I'm sure they saw the headlines that Michael Keaton got and sort of Ben Affleck got and stuff, and I think that isn't... I don't think it's entirely unfounded, but I don't think it's their entire motivation. You know what I mean? I don't think it's all that was going on, but I think that's a little bit of it. I think they're starting to see, oh, the superhero climate is becoming this. My fear in all this is that Marvel and the MCU used to be a leader, and the fact that they're following trends is a bit worrying. Because that to me means we're on the different, even if they do it better, which makes me think they won't, because they're missing context and like having two Batman, we've never seen that before. These are two guys you never thought would be together, and there isn't that context of, well, when Spider-Verse did it, it represented this with Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And I think with this, with Flashpoint, I think they have a little more leeway than Spider-Man 3 does. So I think, yeah, they are kind of copying a trend. I don't think your coworker is totally unfounded, but I think there's more going on with it. It's like, yeah, I'll give you 20-30%, but I'm not going to give you the whole 100. Anyway, it just, yeah, I guess when thinking about this whole thing, it makes me worried. But the rumors are, it seems like there's something going on. If they're doing a bit of a Spider-Verse thing, I just think, to me, it's like, don't do it, guys. Unless you're casting Miles Morales. But like the fact that you go from like this really diverse lineup of different Spider people to 3 white dudes is just not maybe the best look. I don't know. I just don't. And I think it will be always compared to a better movie, and there's no way you can escape that. And that's an issue. Like, to me, it's like Disney, haven't you learned with your live action remakes? Sure, it's going to make money, but it's just going to always be an inferior project to something that Sony made, which is kind of bad. All right. Oh, Will. Wow, everyone's being very nice tonight. Okay. The MCU just needs to be weird, or else they are still doing this song and dance. They're picking up all these strange talents, yet keep playing down their voices. That's true. I will say, I think James Gunn, maybe not, but a lot of them, I don't think they really let them go forth as much, and they are sort of doing the Marvel style, particularly the cinematography. It's so weird to me. Well, first off, cheers to you, Will. Thank you very much for the super chat. It's so weird to me about Marvel movies is that if you, like, read comics, they're never illustrated the same way. And to me, like, wouldn't that, like, warrant you... I definitely want to make a video essay about this at some point. But wouldn't that warrant you shooting each one in a different way? Because they are each unique. It wasn't like you picked up a Marvel comic and they all look like John Byrne. They all had different looks to them, and they all had different illustrators who did that. So I think it's kind of unfortunate that they do that. I wish they would give them more free reign, because if you wrote a Marvel comic, you've had more free reign than if you made a Marvel movie, which I wish was a little more change. Shang-Chi does have Bill Pope, and I'm sure those guys will bring fun to it, but I just don't think they can go as crazy as they should be able to. But Will is right on that. Anyway, all right. I think some of them are unique. I will agree with Thor Ragnarok. I will agree with some of them, but I just think that they still have to play within the Marvel wheelhouse, which I think can work. But it's something. I'm going to say Will has a point. Both these super chats were very good points, by the way. All right. All right. So I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a good way to advertise a new movie. I'm not I'm not a big Ryan Reynolds person, but I like how they did the Free Guy trailer, which is a fine... the trailer itself actually isn't what I'm talking about as much, but it was a fine trailer. It looked fun. It looks like a fun movie. It's more so that they put out an extra video of them recording different ideas of when this movie will come out, and it was self-deprecating, but it was done in a really funny way, and it's, by the way, the best ad campaign I have actually seen for a movie trailer currently, because all of them go, I don't know, it's coming to cinemas or something, and this is the one who's like, look, we don't know, here's some jokes. And I thought that was funny. It actually made me probably one of the best ad campaigns I've seen for a movie during this pandemic was what they put out after that. Good job. Free Guy, by the way. I thought it was really cool. All right, so let's get into there's the end of the movie theater industry, basically. But first we'll talk about Soul. Before I get into a lot of that, how did this... No. Okay, hold on. I gotta move something around because my order's all... Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how that... Somehow it got organized in a way that I don't like. Alright, and I'm the one who organized it. But first off, while everything was moving on, and it kind of like, we're kind of getting part of the story is basically when James Bond moved to next year, everybody freaked the fuck out. Regal decided to close everything for presumably the rest of the year. Regal and Cineworld, I believe, in the UK. And things just started moving like dominoes. But the bigger news is that Soul is skipping theaters and going right to Disney Plus on Christmas Day. It will go to theaters in regions that do not have Disney Plus, but there has not been a release date announced unless that happened since I read that, which is highly possible. But there's not going to be a surcharge like there was with Mulan, which kind of insinuates that Mulan didn't do well with that surcharge thing. We still don't really know actual numbers on that, and I'm guessing when this all went down that we're not going to get that kind of a thing, because if it was a failure... And I know people are upset that Mulan has now gone off Disney Plus to regular on demand, which doesn't seem to me like a smart move, but whatever, Disney. But the thing with Soul in this is not just about the on-demand thing, which obviously from this info we can read into that was probably a failure. But I would also say with Soul is that Disney clearly does not want to lose a Best Animated Feature Oscar to Netflix, which we just heard tonight. It wants to put out about 6 animated features a year at some point, which is pretty ambitious. I think Netflix has 2 pretty strong contenders for Best Animated Feature, one being Farmageddon and the other being Over the Moon, which I think Over the Moon's probably like sort of the favorite, and since, you know, they did give them a run for their money with Klaus last year, I'm sure that they're a little freaked. So what I think, or what won Best Animated Feature? I forget what it was. But anyway, what I think this also has to do with is the idea that the Oscars are probably still happening. They want to get Soul out there, and they want people to have seen it, and they want buzz. And if they're paying people, they're making people pay $30, and the word of mouth isn't as widespread, that's going to hurt Soul, and I don't think they need that right now. As well as, like, the release date is getting very crowded, and you're going to see more of these things happening. I think you're going to probably see... I think Wonder Woman 1984, it was Toy Story 4, yeah. I think Klaus should have won, but I do like Toy Story 4. But you're going to see more of these films going to on-demand, going to streaming services, because they just need to put them somewhere because they're running out of time, and they can't have, like, this backlog that's just clogging everything up. Now, let's get into everything that got moved back. The first thing that got moved was Dune, which was supposed to come out on December 18th, is now coming out on October 1st, 2021, which then created a issue because Batman, going to go get Chinese food, watch it on the 25. What? What does that mean? You're going to be back in 25, I guess? Anyway, enjoy your Chinese food, Austin. Cheers to you. Yeah, so when Dune moved to October 2021, that was a conflict with the Batman, which had been, however many times it had been moved, was then on that date, which is now coming out on March 4th, 2022. A lot of people don't think that's a great date, because that date, Batman feels more like a summer movie thing, and that was March was previous time for Batman v Superman. We all know how that worked out, but that's what they want, and that's what they're doing. The other things that moved was Jurassic World Dominion, delayed. It has been delayed and halted filming because of various COVID cases. It is now coming out June 10th, 2022. A lot of people were confused why this isn't coming out in 2021, but it might also be because I have not looked at the release calendar for 2021 because it changed so often. If we had more of a solid thing, I would on the show actually just go through it and sort of explain it. But like, if I did that, that information would be outdated, the next day or something. So I don't even look at it because what's the point? But I'm assuming that's probably part of it. But Jurassic World Dominion coming out June 10th, 2022. The Black Adam movie starring The Rock has been doesn't have a date. It's been pushed off the calendar. The Flash movie Flashpoint has been delayed. I don't even know what that is. Like, all of DC's schedule got pushed back. The Matrix 4 was moved up to Christmas 2021, and then we're seeing a bunch of stuff going on with Christmas as well, with the Regina King directed film One Night Miami is going to come to Amazon on Christmas Day, as well as Promising Young Woman is now coming out to drive-ins and theaters on Christmas Day as well, which would probably be a good double feature with Wonder Woman 1984, which still has not moved as of this moment right now. It seems like a lot of things want to just get on the year-end list, want to get some awards consideration and stuff like that, if that is still going to happen. If the Oscars get delayed and moved, which I think they're going to have to make a decision on that, fully like commit to whatever they're doing pretty soon. If that happens, I expect a lot of this shit to move off these dates. But as it is, as the context of what we have right now or whatever is I like all these Batman v Superman things. That's what's going on. But I'm surprised Promising Young Woman didn't go to on demand, because I think a lot of people would watch that. And Christmas Day doesn't seem like the best release date for that, to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised they didn't go for like a different thing, but I think they're hoping that more theaters will be open then. I'm not sure the idea of that. I've been wanting to see that movie for a long time. Anyway, So, going into the actual theater things, yes, Regal. We heard this thing about Regal and Cineworld that Will said new development 2, Neil Berger's Voyagers, has also been delayed till further notice. Remember that? No. But that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, cheers to you, Will. Thank you. Sorry. I actually started to do it. Sorry. Anyway. I don't know why I'm laughing. I like Batman v. Kramer v. Kramer. Nice with Bruce Parker. Basically, yes, we found out the day after I did the last movie crap last Saturday, Regal was saying, oh, well, that might not be true. We're not sure if we're going to do that. And then on Monday I go, nah, I think we're going to do that. We're going to close. And I was like, what? Why'd you confuse us? So if you heard, they might not. They still did. They did that on Thursday. AMC decided that they are going to stay open. There is the idea and the thing they flirted with, the idea that they might not be operational 7 days a week. I know in the Odeon theaters in England, they have been, or Odeon, whatever, they've considered, they've only opened on the weekends. We could be seeing that happen with AMC, as well as Cinemark, but Cinemark has actually said they're not having any issues with their, money coming in at all, actually. I mean, other than people not seeing movies, because most of their theaters are open. They barely, I think they have like one theater in LA, and their only theater in New York isn't in New York City. So, and they only have one theater in the state of New York, I believe. I might be wrong about that, but Cinemark is basically fine. They're basically like running it full, all theaters are running for them. So they're less affected by it, but they've also admitted to the fact that they might not be open. You might not be able to go see a movie on a Tuesday afternoon or something. That might just go away at this point. They might just, because they don't have the content, because there's nothing playing, and you can't play Tenet for 3 fucking months only. It just doesn't make any sense. So I think everyone thought this would be over at this point, so I think they're not sure what to do. As well as in Ontario, movie theaters, Ontario movie theaters are shutting for, because I know a lot of people who watch this are Canadian, are shutting for 28 days as COVID cases rise. So if you wanted to jump over the border and see SpongeBob, sorry. Anyway, I like all these Batman v things. It's funny. You guys are always... No, Tenet did not save cinema. I don't know what Tenet saved. Did it save anything? What did we save with Tenet? Do we know? Batman v Tom Cruise, I would say. So Stranger Things Season 4 is actually in production. I think Netflix probably wanted it to because... and to talk about the pandemic a little bit... Oh, what if Tenet was so amazing it could? I mean, I haven't seen it. Who in the chat has seen Tenet and can vouch for if it would be good enough to save cinema just on the movie itself? No, Cinemark is open. I think he's saying that. Anyway, sorry, Cineram. What if Tenet... Did Cineram see Tenet? I want to know. If anyone saw Tenet, tell me if it's that good. Anyway, cheers to you. What happened to Tenet? Did it do well? Anyway, cheers to you, Zane Powers. Anyway. New Mutants Save Cinema. Man, that's the one I want to see, actually. Tenet Saved My Cat from a Tree. Forever Zard. Bravo. That was a good one. Tenet is not good. Okay. But yeah, Stranger Things 4. Sorry. You guys make me laugh. I didn't see SpongeBob or Tenet. Austin, you could have. What about Antebellum? Oh, don't bring that up. I haven't seen that, but I saw Armchair Auteurs. I've gotten more into him. I was into him before, and then he was on the show, and then I've gotten more into him, interestingly enough. But he did one, and I was like, whoa, Antebellum, holy shit. Stranger Things Season 4 is in production, which I think will be good, because if it is going to come out, if presumably the pandemic goes on till at least the beginning of next summer, which seems probable, we'll probably need a Season 4 of Stranger Things, so I'm glad that they're that they're working on that. Not to bring everyone down, but we should be honest with ourselves. The Thomas the Tank Engine movie has been announced as going to be, or this version of it is going to be directed by Mark Forrester. Mark Forrester, originally, I know Shane Acker was attached. There's been various other directors attached to these things. Mark Forrester, to me, doesn't look like a great director because he was once a good director. He was a good drama director. He did Monsters Ball, which Halle Berry won her Oscar for. He directed Finding Neverland, which Johnny Depp was nominated for Best Actor. Did The Kite Runner, which people liked or whatever. I remember in the early 2000s, he was considered a cool dramatic director, and then he did this shift to blockbusters, and he's like really bad at that. Like, he did Quantum of Solace, World War Z. Like, he's awful. Anyway, Cineram says my Cinemark theater in Evanston is still not open. Haven't seen Tenet. Okay, cool. I mean, I think it's also based on city regulations and things. That might have something to do with that. But anyway, cheers to you, Cineram. Thank you very much for the super chat. And check out his Rocky IV review, which I haven't. I wanted to sit down and watch it. I haven't. I'm probably going to while I clean tomorrow, which I'm excited to. Why I haven't commented on it. Whoa, Red Bull, Jesus. All right. Anyway, I don't know if I did cheers, but cheers to you. It's cool, Austin. I'm sorry. I'm not going to the theater either, so you're cool. But anyway, check out his Rocky IV review because I got him to watch Rocky IV. I am going to watch it. I'm like excited to watch it tomorrow. I was like making up what videos are I going to watch tomorrow. I was like, I haven't watched Cineram watch Rocky IV for the first time. So curious. Anyway, so Mark Forrester kind of took this turn and made really bad blockbusters, and I don't understand why he wouldn't go back to making like movies. He was good at making movies that get nominated for Oscars, I thought, and most people thought. And then he just made bad blockbusters, which I'm sure gave him more money, but it's like I don't think he was hurting anyway. So he apparently is a big fan of Thomas the Tank Engine. This is his. I know Will is a super chat, but I want to finish this. Sorry. This is apparently is a passion project of his, which is an interesting twist on the story that I did not see coming. So we'll see if this happens. A lot of people think this is something that will just get announced, or he'll just be announced enough so he can get executive producer credit and get like a small piece of the profits, which is highly possible. Anyway, Will. There we go. Will said, it's the World War II movie or bust. They should have let this project stay dead. I talk about it more in depth on my upcoming Acker video. Fascinating stuff. What that was supposed to be. Or fascinating stuff on what that was supposed to be. Thank you very much for the super chat, Will. Very generous of you. I'm excited for that Shane Acker video. Tell me when that's up. I will definitely retweet it. And cheers to you. Oh man. We need to make some progress here. I'm not... glad I only have 2 segments now. Alright. So this trailer was pretty much, to me, the biggest trailer of the year drop, and maybe the best trailer I saw this year. And that was the trailer for Mank, which is the new David Fincher film about I think it's Joseph Mankiewicz. Whichever Mankiewicz wrote Citizen Kane, which I should probably remember because I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. And his story, it's written, I believe, by David Fincher's father. The trailer looks gorgeous. It looks like it was literally shot like Citizen Kane. And if you haven't seen Citizen Kane, I know so many people. Nice, George Sake, Baba Booey. No one's done that, so cheers to you. Cheers to you, man. If you've never seen Citizen Kane, do it because it's a great movie. I know people go, "Oh, it's the best movie ever." "Oh, it's not that good." Just don't listen to any of that bullshit. Just know, hey, it's a really good movie, and you should have seen it, and you'll get all these cultural references, and you'll see a good movie. Just think of it like, hey, do you want to see a good movie? That's all it should be. Certainly it is a good example of maybe the best film ever made. I don't agree with any film being the best film ever made, because then what would be the point in watching stuff if you already knew what the best one was? That's stupid. So anyway, regardless, I could say that better at some point, but I'm very excited for this movie, starring Gary Oldman as Mankiewicz. It looks really great. It's playing off of the lore, and if you know anything about the behind the scenes about Citizen Kane, which is a whole other interesting Hollywood lore involving William Randolph Hearst and like how the film was buried and so notorious, and Wells's deal and all these things, and how Mankiewicz based so much of Citizen Kane off of William Randolph Hearst and his life and the parties he went to. But I'm so excited for this movie, as well as I'm going to be doing a bunch of Orson Welles stuff with like Lost Film File and other things that myself and Matt Berry have been waiting to develop up until we got a release date. So it was exciting. I texted him that day because it looks gorgeous. And Netflix has done this before with The Other Side of the Wind, a long lost Orson Welles film, which is really great, but you have to be a really dorky 70s cinephile to really get into. So I would say see Citizen Kane, but if you get really into, it's awesome they gave us a new Orson Welles movie, and now they're making a David Fincher Orson. Oh, just awesome. I'm very excited. This is my most anticipated thing of the year. Also The Godfather. I feel like I was talking about The Godfather a lot last week, so where was the Kane in Citizen Kane? It was right behind Rosebud at the end. So, we killed a Red Bull. Thank you very much, Sinclair. Sorry. You go over there. Rid of the Red Bull that hid in my bag for way too long, and I'm a little worried about. So, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. In other things that looks cool, the Modok footage. I watched the footage. I did not watch the full panel, but I did watch the footage. It's a stop-motion show about Modok from Marvel that's going to be on Hulu. It is the strangest fucking idea for a show I've heard that is actually happening. I'm surprised Disney is letting it happen. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it is really cool. It looks fun. It doesn't look like totally subversive and different, but it's just like the idea of it is really surprising to me, and that it's like a Patton Oswalt Modok show. I love it so far. It looks really fun. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Robot Chicken style, but a little more detail and stuff like that. So it looks like a fun superhero show, like a weirder one, which I think we need more of, especially in animation. So, moving on to 2 Christmas things. And let's do the less kid-friendly one, which was the Fatman trailer. I had heard this trailer coming up, and I'd been meaning to watch it, and Ryan Waltersons, who I don't think, was he here? Anyway, wherever he is, he was very much like, no, you need to really watch this. And I meant to, and he reminded me again, and I watched it. Anyway, you didn't need to know that, but now you do. Fatman is basically about Santa Claus, played by Mel Gibson, and in this movie, this kid gets a lump of coal because he's bad, I guess, I don't know, and he decides to hire a hitman to kill Santa Claus because he's upset with him. And in this world, kids all the time try to kill Santa Claus because he gives them coal. By the way, if you got coal from Santa Claus, don't get someone to kill Santa Claus. You're not going to not get coal. Whatever. I know. Like, the methodology, like, clearly you're not... Anyway, apparently this happens to Santa Claus a lot, so it's like this weird action movie. It looked like a lot of fun. I'm sort of excited for it, to be honest with you. I was like, this is great. Even has, like, cool action movie takes on, like, every Santa Claus line. And it's not, I think a lot of the Santa Claus horror... Because I am sort of into Christmas horror a bit. The better ones, like, have fun with the iconography and don't overdo it and, like, hit you over the head with it so much. And this, I felt... it's a little ridiculous. It's definitely like going off on all that stuff, but it looked fun. I'm excited for this. Walter Goggins playing a hitman, Mel Gibson playing Santa Claus. I love it. I'm down. I'm very excited for this. I've heard a lot of genre people excited for this. Anyway, the next thing is Netflix is getting in on the Elf on the Shelf business. They've made a deal with Lumastella, whatever company, and making movies of the whole Elf on the Shelf universe, which apparently there is one. Now, I do not want that elf in my house and don't want anything to do with that crap, which I've successfully done so far. But if Amazon is serious, or Netflix, sorry, who cares? If Netflix is serious about making these Christmas movies, these Elf on the Shelf movies, I don't know if I'll be able to keep that up, but they're going to buy the rights to previous Elf on the Shelf animated specials, but they're going to make other ones about Elf on the Shelf, the Elf Pets, which is a whole other thing apparently, and then the Elf Mates. So I think the Elf on the Shelf is fucking dumb, and I didn't grow up with it, so I'm going to totally disregard it of having any cultural warrants at all, even though I know there's kids who grew up with it, it means something to them, but I think it's fucking dumb. So whatever, I'm sure I won't feel that way if, Sophie's really into it, and then I'll buy her one and do it really nice and stuff, and I'll feel like a jerk for saying all this stuff. But until that day, I can totally hate Elf on the Shelf. It's also like, I don't know. You know what the interesting thing? I was thinking about Elf on the Shelf today because I found the story, and I thought the funny thing about Elf on the Shelf is everyone hates it who's my age because it's like, oh, a corporation made this Christmas tradition, but it's like corporations made all of our Christmas traditions. Why the like they made a new one? It's such an organic Christmas thing. I don't know. It's funny. Isaac Badas asked me thoughts on Pan's pitch for Loki IRL to Gendy and Mike Lazo. I did not. I guess this opens up the second Red Bull, but thank you. How can you hate Elf on the Shelf? Izzy, I can hate what I want, which is Elf on the Shelf, apparently. Isaac Rennes says thoughts on Pan's pitch to Loki IRL to Gendy and Mike Lazo. I did not, in all fairness, see it at all, so I have no thoughts. But thank you for the super chat anyway. Sorry, I didn't. I heard that it happened, but cheers to you. And thank you for being here, Izzy. She's right there. I just look. The one thing I've always wanted to do, if I did have Elf on the Shelf, is slowly put the elf on the furthest place you can in the place you're living, and slowly move the elf closer and closer to the bedroom, and then the last time the elf is like just looking at the kid. Because it would fuck with them. I hate that elf. Anyway, that it's Paw Patrol, Elf on the Shelf, the Jim Parent hit list. This is my line. The Elf on the Shelf is my line. Look, Trump wouldn't have been elected if we hadn't had Elf on the Shelf. I think we all know this. Anyway, so Peter Ramsey... Sorry. So Peter... Everybody's freaking out. Sorry. So Trolls is third. Okay, so it's where were we? It's I'm confused because I started talking about everything else. It's Paw Patrol, Elf on the Shelf, Trolls. There we go. But thank you, Isaac Bada, by the way. Anyway, again, Jim, calm down. So Lost Ollie is a live action show. Rent is not a kid's thing, and now everyone's confusing me. Lost Ollie is a live action show with CG characters about a kid who loses its toy, and I think it's only about 4 episodes. Kid who loses its toy, and the toy feels lost, and the kid feels lost, and they try to find each other. The CG characters look really cute. If you saw the picture online, it's directed by Peter Ramsey, actually, who directed SpiderVerse and Rise of the Guardians. He's actually the first African-American to direct a major animated feature for a studio, I believe. And he's a really great director, and yeah. But anyway, it's a story of a lost toy searching across the countryside for the boy who lost him, and the story of the boy who lost more than a best friend. An epic adventure to reunite in the face of all dangers that childhood could throw at them. It sounds actually really cool that we're going to have basically an animation director do an animation live-action hybrid. Sounds interesting to me. It sounds cool. It's going to be on Netflix, and I'm glad because it sounds like a Peter Ramsey thing. I know he's doing a jazz thing that sounded very ambitious. This sounds like something that would give him a lot of attention and show off that he can do live action as well as show off how great he is at animation, which I believe he is. And I think it has something to do with... Anyway, I forget what it was. Also, there's going to be a show called Bat Wheels. It is a show on HBO Max for little kids. And hold up, guys. This is going to be... What is this movie called? Oh, the last one was called Lost Ollie. I will talk about Molly and McGee later. But Bat Wheels is a show about the various cars and shit that DC characters have. And it's going to have voices and crap. One is it's led by the Batmobile, as well as Bibby, the Batgirl cycle, Red, the Redbird. I don't know what the jazz thing is. No, it's a separate jazz thing he was working on. I forget what the name of it was, but I know I talked about it earlier. Like several years ago. Anyway, it's also the Batwing, and then Buff, the Bat Truck must all navigate the growing pains of growing up. So it's like Cars with Batman stuff. It sounds real stupid. Bee and Puppy Cat is going to come to Netflix. We're going to get a season 2. I barely remember watching this show, and it is coming to Netflix on 2022. So that's pretty cool news. The Lumberjanes is finally... I know there's talk of a Lumberjanes live action movie, which no one's sure what happened with that, which 20th Century Fox is going to do before the Disney merger, so, you know. But the Lumberjanes animated show is going to happen on HBO Max. The creator of Lumberjanes helped showrun She-Ra, which I'm assuming is one of the reasons there was a kind of a bidding war over this. Also, the Lumberjanes is very well regarded and stuff. I think also since She-Ra did so well for Netflix, they probably want something like that on their own streaming service. So the Lumberjanes will be an animated show on, which I think the comic is ending this year, from my understanding. But yeah, it's going to be on HBO Max. There also is going to be a Godzilla Singular Point. Everyone says singular... What? Anyway, it's an original anime series featuring Godzilla, I hope, on Netflix, I'm assuming. I'm confused about that. And I hope that is better than the animated Godzilla movies, which were really bad, but I would like a good animated Godzilla thing, and that sounds like a cool idea to me. Also, and this is kind of cool, Has Been Hotel news. The creator of Has Been Hotel, Vizzy-Pop, is teaming with, is going to do a 8-episode season of Helluva Boss. Didn't really say when it's starting, but there's going to be 8 of them, and that sounds actually really cool. If you remember the Helluva Boss pilot, there's going to be a season of those things just on YouTube. This does not have anything to do with A24, which is doing the Has Been Hotel thing, is doing the Helluva Boss thing, which is pretty cool news that we're going to get. I thought we weren't going to get anything from her for a while, but considering how successful that YouTube channel is, I don't think they could hold out that long. So, and it makes sense, and it's cool that she's making that, and everyone, you know, who works with her is doing that. So it sounds cool. Oh, it's this month. Okay. All right. Anyway, to move on to hit a bunch of stuff, and then we're slowly going to have... Yeah, okay. We need to get this shit in gear. The Slink... Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about this. Well, this... Yeah, I don't know. Let's cut that. So, Glow was canceled. I think it was this past week. Who knows? I was sad about that because I watched Glow. It had been picked up for a season 4, and they have decided not to. I quite like season 3. I was sort of excited to watch another one, but it has been canceled because it's pretty hard to do in COVID, and to do the next season, we'd have to wait a couple years, and Netflix just didn't feel like that was worth it. So you've seen a lot of shows that have gotten picked up for previous seasons have that rolled back because of COVID, and they can't do anything about that. Okay, so Obi Wan, the Obi Wan Disney Plus show, is apparently going to start shooting in March. I'm assuming they're looking at kind of I've heard a late 2021, early 2022 release date. I'm assuming they might want to stay away from late 2021 if we're keeping on the Mandalorian thing. I'm going to assume it ends up in March 2022, if you ask me. But apparently it is actually going to shoot this limited series around then. Netflix, like I said before, is planning to do 6 animated features a year. That's their plan. I know they're talking about doing them like in their own facility, but basically how they're doing this is they're buying some, like you saw with Farmageddon. They're doing some organically in-house. They're doing some with other studios like Klaus and things like that. I think they'll be able to do it, but they won't do it like Disney, who naturally develops them on their own. They'll probably just have a couple, like a normal studio, and then, you know, hire other studios to make them, and Netflix will release them and stuff like that. It's good for animation because they have such a diversity in terms of their ideas and the kinds of animation they do, so I'm all for how much they're investing in animation, especially right now, because you can't make anything else, so that's really cool. Sister, I saw this on the, so there's this place on the Discord where you can submit stories. We were saying how Sister is among the streaming, you know, list has become one of the highest watch shows on streaming. I've been watching Sister, so I think it's actually really cool that that's happening. I really like that. I like Sister. Anyway, so Oh, did you finish Evangelion? I did not, but I really liked it, actually, Isaac Banda. I did really like it. I kind of want to... That's kind of something in quarantine I wanted to do, but it's sort of hard to. So I might try to come up with a real plan, because I do have actually some, like, cool things to say about it, to be honest with you, and I would like to commit that to something at some point. So I probably should. Thank you for bringing that up. That actually made me think about it. So cheers to you. Thank you very much for the super chat. So this is the part we call Trailer and Bits, where I talk about trailers and some like little bits of news, basically, which I probably could have done with some of that crap, but whatever. The Book of Zeus trailer looked really cool. It's by the studio, not Frederator, but the other studio that does Castlevania. It looked really neat. It's a Netflix show about, you know, gods and stuff like that. Looked violent, interesting, intense, all the cool things that you want from it. We Baby Bears is coming in 2022. Really? Is that 2022? Seems like too far. I just don't. Really? 2022? Is that? Oh, why did I put that? Spring 2021, motherfucker. In spring 2021, I'm sort of excited for this in a way, but I don't know. Sophie likes the Baby Bears, so maybe we'll check out We Baby Bears. The trailer for The Education of Frederick Fitzel is actually really cool. I don't know if you've heard about this movie, but it is about a kid who, he's like in his 20s, and he had a drug trip sort of in high school. He thinks something happened, and he's trying to remember and solve a sort of a mystery, maybe a murder mystery, maybe someone's missing, we don't know, but he's trying to remember what happened when he took this drug and what happened to this girl. It seems like a cool concept. I don't know many kind of reminisce drug trip movie, like mystery movies like this. I really like the concept actually starring Dylan O'Brien, I think, in a really great role. So I'm excited for that. Kind of get Brick vibes a little, I was thinking. I don't know. Anyway, it's a cool movie. It's a cool trailer. I haven't seen the movie. The Addams Family 2 teaser. There's going to be a new Addams Family animated movie next Halloween. And I love that it said, when things get back to... And then it puts abnormal. Haha, let's make fun of this pandemic. The Wolf Walkers trailer came out, and it was announced it is coming out December 11th, which is cool. I've already reviewed it. You can watch that review right now. But it would look like it was a good trailer. I don't think it was a fantastic trailer for that movie. I feel like you could have made a better trailer, but I'm glad that they put out a trailer, and I hope people see it on Apple Plus. The Invincible trailer, which it seems like a lot of people want me to talk about. I liked it. I thought it looked cool. It looked like Amazon is really putting a lot of oomph behind it. I do not know the comic. I did like Comic Tropes did an amazing analysis of the trailer, which Comic Tropes, that was great. I got to give Comic Tropes credit for that. That was amazing. It looks like a cool show. I think it is going to work for Amazon. I like that their brand is becoming different comic book stuff between The Boys and this. I think this is a perfect place to put a show like this, because I think people will actually watch it and talk about it, because people are used to doing that on Amazon Prime. So their brand with superhero stuff is like the weirder, edgier kind of stuff, which I think is a good brand to have right now. So anyway, but yeah. The Stand, if the place where you work, if they don't have that in there. It looks cool. I like the casting of Whoopi Goldberg still. I grew up with that 90s miniseries. People watched it and talked about it a lot. And I don't know if it looks like a better version of that. I'm sort of excited for it. I don't know if I'm going to get CBS All Access for it, but it looked kind of neat. The Ghost and Molly McGee, that looks like a fun show. I like the design of it. I like the Ghost. Is it Ghost McGee? It's the Ghost and Molly McGee. Anyway, I like the Ghost probably. The Molly McGee part I was listening to, but the Ghost looked like a lot of fun. Had sort of a Hanna-Barbera vibe, but like newer animation, sort of remind me of Owl House sort of animation, stuff like that. But I'm sort of into it. I think we'll watch it whenever that comes out. The Come Away trailer. This is by Brenda Chapman. It is her live action debut. It is about this kind of couple and their kids. One is basically Alice in Wonderland, one is Peter Pan. It is done in a more organic way than that concept sounds sort of dumb, but the script works. It has Angelina Jolie in it. It looks actually like it could be an interesting little family film. I'm sort of interested in it. I never saw Wendy, which I kind of want to do before the end of the year, which is a separate film, obviously. But I am curious about that. It looks like a cool take on fairy tales, and I'm kind of curious about that. Brenda Chapman previously directed Brave. And basically came up with it, and then they took it away from her. Whatever. Don Hertzfeldt came out with episode 3 of World of Tomorrow. I have not watched that, but the teaser is on his YouTube channel. I should probably watch all the World of Tomorrow stuff. I have not, partly because it costs money, and that's expensive and stuff. But if you are into Don Hertzfeldt, it is there. Go to his website, and you can watch it there. The Watch trailer, which is this BBC show, looked interesting. I thought I heard Matt Berry, but didn't actually see Matt Berry. Looked like kind of a fun BBC kind of supernatural show. And lastly, a trailer that I don't a bunch of things, but the last trailer I'm going to talk about, and this is a trailer that I've heard about this movie for a while, and it seems like the people who are diehard about it keep talking about it, but it seems like it's hard to get hype out about this movie. It's called Sound of Metal, starring Riz Ahmed, about kind of a metal drummer who's losing his hearing. I thought the trailer looked actually really moving and interesting, and I kind of actually want to see this movie. I've been hearing about it forever, and it looks really compelling. So if you haven't heard of Sound of Metal and you're kind of like into rock and stuff like that, I would check it out. And Will said, in short, World of Tomorrow episode 3 was great. He watched it, so yeah. Cheers. Cheers to you. Okay, so a couple other things. Camp Cretaceous was picked up for season 2. Drive-in screenings apparently are eligible for Oscar consideration. I don't understand why that wasn't a thing, but now it is. Also, Vulture put out a thing called the 100 most influential sequences in animation, which I believe Jerry Beck worked on, as well as a Sesame Street special called The Power of We, which I'll probably watch later, is coming out on October 16th. Which I'll probably watch. And then, alright, so actual more movie news to talk about. This actually sounded cool, and people were kind of slagging it off. So there's basically going to be this movie where James McAvoy's in it as, I'm assuming, the lead, and everyone else in this movie has the script, but James McAvoy doesn't. He's basically improving while they all have the script, like Claire Foy has the script. It's like sort of I think it's a murder mystery thing. That sounds like a cool concept to me. I'm curious what will become of that. It could just get obnoxious, but that's a cool idea. Like they'll all be one thing, and that's interesting. So I thought that was an interesting idea. Somehow, Don't Breathe 2 finished filming during COVID, according to Stephen Lang. I don't think anyone wanted a Don't Breathe 2, but we're going to be real desperate for content next year, so bring it on, I guess. Whatever. Don't Breathe was fine. It's just, actually, we're almost, okay. You know what? I shouldn't say we're like, I always get paranoid about that we're going to run out of time. And then we have lots of time, and I'm a stupid idiot person. But it's cool. Maybe we can just do questions if I don't take too long. Something else. There's going to be a Making of Soul doc about making a movie during COVID. That sounds actually really cool. I've liked what Disney Plus has done with behind the scenes stuff. The Making of Frozen 2 was actually really great. If I had more time to do just a review of that, I think Disney is trying to do more with their making of stuff, because before recently they kind of sucked at it, and it was just, it was just like the Sweatbox, which they never wanted out, and Waking Sleeping Beauty. It feels like they're opening up more to that and coming up with cooler behind the scenes stuff, and that's one of the things Disney could be really good at, and they do sort of own, not something I like, but it's true, they own the art of animation pretty much, and they should do something interesting with that. So I'm interested in that if it's as good as the Frozen 2 doc. There is going to, before I talk about Green Lantern show, I guess will be the last thing, but this kind of went by everyone's radar. I'm a big Phil Spector fan of his Wall of Sound kind of stuff. And there's going to be a Ronnie Spector biopic, and she personally picked out Zendaya to play her in a biopic. That sounds really cool. A24 is attached. We don't have a director or much of anything else to it, but a Ronnie Spector biopic starring Zendaya sounds cool to me, and I love that music. Check out any of the I don't know if the box set, the Phil Spector box set's on Spotify or anything, but if you can look up that, it's really, really wonderful music. And he's in jail anyway, so I don't think he gets the money. I don't know how that works. Regardless, it sounds pretty cool. So, sorry. I was gonna... Anyway, so a Green Lantern series has been greenlit for HBO Max. I feel like this is one of those things we hear a lot about from various sources for a long time, and then we don't know if it happens, but it has happened. HBO Max has ordered 10 one-hour episodes. The series will be co-written by Seth Grahame-Smith, and Mark Guggenheim, and it's going to depict the multitude of different Lanterns, including Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Bays, and Alan Scott, and Earth's first Green Lantern, who, true to comics, is a gay man, and many more. So it's going to finish various different people. I don't think it has Jon Stewart, which was controversial. Sounds like a cool show to me. HBO Max is trying to ramp up all things. Paul Blart should have been in Reno 901. Why not? Yeah, sounds like a cool show. I know HBO Max is really ramping up production on anything DC. I feel like I'm going to sneeze again. No? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are taking bets. Like, when's Jim going to sneeze again, right? No, probably not. Anyway, so one person I definitely wanted to talk about this week in the kind of Obit section before... Oh, thank you, Son Suzuki. No, I know Phil Spector is an awful person, but I still like that music. So, yeah. Oh, you didn't have to retract that, Son Suzuki. So, this week, Eddie Van Halen died. I think Eddie Van Halen is one of the kind of musicians who definitely changed rock and roll completely, along with him and kind of Randy Rhoads in that era of kind of like when pop metal sort of took over. Between the first Van Halen album and 1984, which are two albums I really like. I don't like the ones in between with David Lee Roth, but I like David Lee Roth more than Sammy Hagar, and especially more than Gary Sharon. But Eddie Van Halen is a wonderful, is a really wonderful musician and made some really great music between Jump and all the great pop songs, all the great songs that he made during his lifetime. It was honestly shocking to me that Eddie Van Halen died. He just seemed like musician who would always be around. Check out 1984, but also the first Van Halen album is really great. It's grungier and dirtier than you'd think it would. I think I posted Eruption before. I do actually really like Jump as well and the poppier stuff, but the first Van Halen album really is way better than you expect it to be. And I remember I wasn't as into Van Halen, and someone said listen to that, and I understood it. So if you've ever wanted to get into Van Halen, check that one out. He was a great musician and one of the best musicians of the 80s. He also did the guitar part for Beat It. If you didn't see the story about how he put Beat It together as a favor to Quincy Jones, that's a good kind of nice story. There's a lot of cool stories about him. And there's a lot of good documentaries about him on YouTube as well as the Todd in the Shadows about Van Halen 3, which is an album I will endlessly be fascinated by also never wanting to listen to very much of. Anyway, also, Zane Powers has a super chat who says, who is more powerful, Paul Blart or Dunkachino? Well, max power would be Paul Blart if he had drunk a Dunkachino. But I would say it's actually Dunkachino. So, sorry about that. Took me a while. I wanted to get to the end of the thing. But cheers to you, Zane Powers. Thank you very much. Alright, so I'm going to go to the bathroom and take a little break. Then we'll talk about the Clerks live action TV pilot, then do Shudder recommendations with special guest Jax Blade, and then we'll do questions, and then that'll be it. So yeah, I didn't know that Eddie Van Halen was also one of the people that talked. Oh, happy Catterday! Hey, Male Tears is here. How's it going? Thank you very much, Male Tears. Cheers to you. A party monster to us all. Alright. I'll be right back. And yeah, thank you all for being here. Buster's just off camera watching. Do you want to be on camera real quick? No? You just want to rub your face on my fingers? Okay, anyway. I will be back, and yeah, cool. Ugh. Whoa, closer. I wonder what people were talking about while I was gone. Fun fact, they had to stop serving Dunkachinos because mere mortals could not handle its chocolate blend. Wow. Is Jax here? No, he's not. It's a... Man, there's a lot of cop cars going on out there. The cops are out. Yeah, I like that. What if Sophie came in and took over? That'd be funny. She can't. Anyone remember the show where she just showed up, scared me, and then she was on the end? Does anyone remember which one that was? It's like, I don't remember. Pre-quarantine, I know that. Will, thank you again for the super chat. Will said, just check my IMDb watch list, and apparently there's show times for The Empty Man. What? I think I saw that somewhere. That's anyway. Cheers to you, Will. Guys, look, they're upset about my Elf on the Shelf takes. Just, Jim, check your Twitter. Forget Detective Pikachu. Let's get a movie review Jimichu. What? Hold on. I'm confused. Hold on. Let me make sure I do this right. Okay, hold on. Everyone see this? That's funny. Thank you, Ace the Wind Rider. That's awesome. I'm going to have to post that on my Insta stories after this. Crimes against elf. Yeah, the elves are bad. Like we will be on that shelf. God damn it. All right. It sounds like a fire, really. All right. Thank you, Ace the Wind Rider. That was cool. I like that. Yes, Mulan. We talked about it earlier, but yeah, Mulan is now still the same price. You just don't have to pay $7. It's actually cheaper. What the fuck? All right. So we're going to talk about. Wait, where's the? Well, I don't need that. Where? Okay. All right. So, at the computer, in the segments today, first thing we're going to talk about is the Clerks live-action pilot. Since I just reviewed the Clerks, the animated series, I thought I would review the other time someone tried to make a TV show, of the animated... okay. I thought I'd talk about the other time someone tried to make a TV show of Kevin Smith's 1994 film, and that was Clerks which was a live-action pilot that Kevin Smith had literally nothing to do with at all, other than he created the characters, and that's it. They just didn't let basically him be involved. He actually didn't know about it, and then when he found out, he asked if he could be involved and gave them like notes, but they basically didn't use them. So, you know, he knew he was filming Mallrats at the time while they were making this, so this is about 1995, and it is kind of what you'd expect from someone who didn't really understand the appeal of Kevin Smith at all. They sort of just made a basic sitcom structure and changed it a little bit, basically to make it more of like a typical sort of 90s sitcom. I think the sort of mistake in reviewing this and the problem with reviewing this is initially you go, hey, this is not like Clerks. Me no like thing not like Clerks. It's supposed to be Clerks. It called Clerks. Which basically I get because it's supposed to be a Clerks TV show, and you instantly notice if you watch Clerks close to this that this not Clerks, and it's not it's not at all, really. It's really not. It's obviously, you know, it's a sitcom, which feels very like, I think Clerks the movie, the live action film, feels very genuine and authentic, and, you know, it's filmed by a guy telling his life story and things, and almost in like a Reality Bites plot kind of situation, they made the movie version of the sitcom version of Clerks. It feels like the most sellout thing imaginable. Now it was basically made by people who do a ton of sitcoms, but the interesting thing is they had who they got involved in this, between like having Jim Brewer, if you know who Jim Brewer is, play Randall, which is bizarre. They had this actor Andrew Lowry, who was in My Boyfriend's Back and various other kind of 90s things, as Dante. They had people like Rick Gomez as Todd, who was another clerk they hung out with, who's a character they made up for no reason. Kerry Russell was actually in this as Sandra, kind of a girl in a tanning salon nearby. I just, you know, I tried to look at this more as just a usual just sitcom from the 90s that I probably would have watched when I was like 11 or 12 when this came out, and been like, oh man, I wish I was cool like these guys, which I did with actual Clerks and probably would have done with this, but I'm older now, and I do think they sort of try to give you something with this. They try to give this sort of a typical 90s sitcom plot. But I have a super chat, so hold on. Thank you, Javier. Said, who got Kevin James or Danny DeVito? Who got? Sorry, who got Kevin James or Danny DeVito? I would say it's Danny DeVito. Cheers to you. I think, but basically, they use Clerks as sort of a springboard to make a typical 90s pilot. A 90s TV show, and in a typical 90s TV show, it's sort of just average. I watched this sort of late at night when I finished the Clerks cartoon review I did, and it kind of reminded me of just like chilling out after school and watching one of these and not thinking much about it. And in terms of that, it's sort of like fine. It sort of does its job. I sort of almost sort of liked it for being that sort of a thing, but it doesn't. But it doesn't really want to be Clerks, which I think is sort of its biggest issue, because if you had literally just made someone who's a little more creative, not, you know, because it feels like who had been a little more creative, who would understand the movie a little more, I think you could have actually done a TV show and, you know, maybe not even involved Kevin Smith, which I think was probably a mistake, which was definitely a mistake. And you could have done something with this, and they actually do have like a plot line where Dante, you kind of get him as a character a little bit. But unlike Dante in the movie, they changed the context of him, because in Dante in the movie, he's sort of stuck in this job, and like maybe he should go to classes and like work to turn his life around. You know, basically like if he went to class and stuff like that, he could eventually get out of there. In this, it's like his dad is offering him jobs for an insurance company so he could work a regular 9 to 5, which to me changes the whole context of that character of Dante, because no one's turning down a well-paying job to work at a fucking convenience store. Like, I'm sorry, maybe this is a Generation X versus like how I grew up thing, but like I can't even imagine being offered like a better position from like a shitty clerk job. Like, no one in their right mind is doing that. That is such like, oh, he's such a good person because he wants to work at a fucking convenience. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that is just so stupid. Like, it's basically like a whole class difference of this thing. Like, the writers like clearly are a little too upper class to understand what Kevin Smith was saying about middle to lower class in his movie, and they like totally just fucking ruined that. Like, that was a stupid idea, but whatever. Also that apparently the actors Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson did audition and did not get the roles of Dante and Randall, which says pretty much all you need to know about this, to be honest with you. It is weird to see Jim Breuer kind of a couple years before he would really blow up on Saturday Night Live, as well as Kerry Russell a few years before she would blow up on Felicity. And then when the Clerks animated thing came out, like, you know, Felicity was over pretty much, I think. And no, it had a season or two. And then Jim Brewer's stardom was already over too. So I think what Clerks animated did better than this is it didn't try to recapture at all. As a springboard, tried to be a completely different thing. And this pilot tried to sort of recapture it, but make it just a usual sitcom and not really understand it before jumping off. And like, it felt like they might have not even watched the movie. They just got a log line. This was supposed to go on ABC because at the time Miramax, which was owned by Disney, and who owned ABC, and that was the idea. I just think it was such a stupid idea. It just felt like kind of the sellout 90s machine at the time. But yeah, it's an interesting watch because it shows you like what, you know, corporate 90s wanted to do. It wanted to make to appeal to Generation X and like failed miserably at. And this is like a great example of that, basically. But it's a fun watch to show you like, oh man, the suits don't get it. They don't get us Generation Xers kind of thing. For that, it's wonderful. As a kind of a sitcom episode that you can fall asleep during and then be woken up by George Lopez later or something, it's great at putting you to sleep. But it's sort of just basic and boring. And I can see they might have done something a little more with it. But in terms of, you know, being an actual good adaptation of, you know, the movie Clerks, it is pretty horrible at it. And I think that's sort of its legacy as being like this like cursed, failed pilot that probably shouldn't have been made in the first place. If they just made a call to the people who made it, and they probably would have made it a little bit better and a little more memorable. And maybe we would have gotten one season of that before there was an animated show. Had they done that, but instead we get this kind of failed cursed pilot that just sits there and does what a usual kind of 90s sitcom does and kind of just fills the air until it's time for something else. Okay. The George Lopez way too close to home. I mean, you know what's funny? Even I would, people make that joke about the George Lopez show. Everybody, I know, that used to happen to me a lot because I used to fall asleep to Friends. Like, I used to do that a lot because it's just like such a comforting kind of show. So I just fall asleep to it, and every time I'd be woken up to burr, 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 burr. It's like, what if you went to heaven but God woke you up to George? I'm sure he would. All right, so let's get on to Shudder recommendations. So let me make sure I have this all queued up here. I have it right there? Okay. Anyway, I'll make sure it's working when I do it. Alright. So, since it's Halloween time, I thought I would do recommendations for the horror streaming service Shudder, which has a 7-day free trial. This is not a paid promotion or anything like that. I'm just letting you know. But yeah, I wanted to recommend some horror movies, and I had an actual horror movie aficionado, Jax Blade, give you some recommendations as well. I don't know if I'm the most knowledgeable horror person. I think I know like the basic classics and things like that. When looking at this streaming service, I felt really inadequate because there's like a lot of horror movies I've like never heard of. But I think I know enough to basically recommend particular. I can recommend particular classics and cool movies that are on there that I like. Some are kind of, you know, your basic big horror movies that you should have seen at this point. Some are not. And then we'll get to Jack's Blade. But yeah, I also at the end will recommend some other horror movies that are free. If I know people are hit financially at these times, you can watch that. Also, you can watch that at the end. Also, this will be in segments, basically my recommendations, Jax's, and then some free stuff at the end that are just random horror movies as well. Okay, so first off, I want to recommend, and it's a newer movie, which is kind of a cool cult movie. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a horror movie, but it leans that way, I guess, called Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage. I know they have Color Out of Space as well, which I haven't seen. Maybe I will while I have Shudder for now. But that is, it's actually a pretty cool movie. Nicolas Cage has been good at making some interesting cult stuff, either a decade ago with Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, or with this. Personally, I like Port of Call a little more, but Mandy's still a lot of fun. It's a good, crazy, weird, acid kind of horror movie. If you've never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that is on here. From my understanding, I think it was restored. I'd heard that before, not sure. But it is a grimy, dirty kind of horror film. You might need to take a shower afterwards, but you'll have a good time. If you've never seen Texas Chainsaw, the original, you should. It is a classic film. As well as, this is very basic, but they have the 1978 original Halloween. If you've never seen that, that is a Halloween classic in my heart. I used to watch it every Halloween. One film that I think really, I was a big kind of, I wouldn't say champion of, but I would recommend a lot when it came out in 2013, is the WNUF Halloween special. This was actually directed by a guy I mean, we're friends on Facebook and stuff, Chris LaMartina. We ran in the same circles in Towson, Maryland, but it's a cool found footage film because it's basically the idea of it is if you found a VHS of this Halloween special and has commercials in it, it plays like a broadcast of this you know, kind of crappy TV channel going to a haunted house and broadcasting on Halloween, and you know, things don't go the right way, but it plays like you found this cursed tape or something like that. It is really great. It literally does seem like you bought a VHS at the flea market or something, and it's paced and worked out in the right way. I've seen a lot of cool articles about it, especially this year. I like that more people are finding it. It is a great horror movie, the WNUF Halloween special. He actually sent me a tape, which I still have, and I treasure it because that is a great movie to have on VHS. You can never get it on VHS, but it's on Shudder, and you can just pretend you watch it on VHS, I guess. I know he actually put VHSs of this at various places, but it is a really cool movie. I would highly recommend the WNUF Halloween special because it really does feel like watching something recorded off of TV in the 80s. Zombie, which is the famous kind of sequel follow-up, a weird Italian follow-up to Dawn of the Dead, not legally, has a zombie fighting a shark. What more do you need to know? Demons, which is by Argento's son, I believe, has zombies in a movie theater. It's a fun movie. I don't love it. Some people really love this movie. I just think it's sort of fun, but it is a fun horror movie. If you're looking for something a little cooler, The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I remember this was a big deal when it came out. We don't hear as much about it as a definite cool poster. Yeah, it kind of, this director, I guess, I don't know what she's doing now. She did The Bad Batch and no one really got as into that. But The Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night is kind of a cool, artier horror right when that vein was picking up. They have Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which Elvira is just cool. I like Elvira. She's just like a really funny, body positive, awesome person. And I remember watching this movie as a kid and thinking it was funny. Maybe I'll rewatch that. That sounds fun. This isn't a horror thing, but I happened onto it that they have Robert Kirkman's Secret History of Comics. If you haven't seen that, it's actually a pretty cool show. It has nothing to do with comics. I don't know why it's on Shudder. I think it's because they're owned by AMC Networks, but it's there. Cannibal Holocaust, if you're looking for absolutely the most disgusting horror movie you could ever see, which is also the basis of what would happen with the Blair Witch Project, you should see it. It's interesting because it is probably the first found footage film, and it also brings up more of the morals more of the idea of the morals of if you found the footage, and what would you do with it and how would you react to it than any of the other films ever had. It's interesting that the first found footage movie talks more about the morals of having the footage of someone being murdered more so than any other found footage film did. WNUF Halloween Special is also sort of a found footage film, but that's as if you found the footage, you the viewer, which is sort of interesting because there's always the idea, who found this footage? Where did it come from? Anyway, it has Phantasm, which is a great kind of sci-fi kind of horror thing. I really like Phantasm. It is a cool movie. It has the other Phantasm sequels, which I've never heard as great things about, but Phantasm is a cool, weird sci-fi kind of horror thing. You should definitely check that out. Also, Deadly Games. This I'm going to watch while I still have Shudder. Here's the thing with Deadly Games. It was a bootleg. It was sort of an infamous horror film. A lot of what Shudder does is find these really obscure horror movies that barely got a release. This was like a bootleg in America. It's sort of a Home Alone film, a Home Alone Die Hard thing, and like a Santa Claus type person is trying to break into this kid's house, and he sets up all these Home Alone type traps. That's what I've heard of it. I haven't watched this. I'm just recommending it because I've heard about this on bootleg for years and years. When it came on Shudder, I saw all these things on Twitter about it at the time. I actually like, it's like a Christmas theme movie, which this might not be the most appropriate Halloween thing, but I'm just going to freak out and geek out about it because it's there, and I think I'm going to watch it. You probably won't see the review until Christmas anyway, but I'm just excited that it's there. Sometimes when I do these recommended things, I just pick a thing that I actually am going to watch. So this is, I haven't watched it yet, but it looks cool. I know that's breaking the thing I should do. And I have two more things. Ganja and Hess is a really cool 70s arty horror thing. Before you got to Jaws and 80s horror and 70s horror really got like kind of geared up, 70s horror could be weird and surreal and stuff. There wasn't really rules, and Ganja and Hess does that. It stars the lead from Night of the Living Dead and is actually really cool. I know Spike Lee remade it recently, which I didn't see, but I'm not really into the idea of him doing that, but I've always really liked Ganja and Hess. It is a really strange, kind of weird horror film, and if you're into that, it's really cool. As well as Bloody Birthday, about three kids who on their birthday decide to murder a bunch of people, so that's always fun. As well as, and I found this on the app, okay, sorry. I found this on the app of it, is John Carpenter made a theme for Shudder. So if you're on Shudder and you can find, just type in John Carpenter. It has Halloween, it has body bags, whatever with body bags, but it has a new music exclusively by John Carpenter for Shudder. You can go check that out. Anyway, let's now go to Jaxblade, who's going to recommend his own horror movies on Shudder. He is definitely a horror movie aficionado and is going to recommend way cooler things than I will. And let's hear what he has to say and cool movies to watch on this Halloween. Oh, hold on.
Fellow neighbor Jaxblade here today, and I just want to give a shout. Oh, hey there. Thanks, Jim. And yo, dudes and dudettes, fellow neighbor Jaxblade here today, and I just want to give a shout out to Jim for letting me do this because I love horror, and Shudder is one of my favorite streaming services to talk about favorite horror movies. So what I'm going to do right now is give you 5 personal recommendations of stuff that you should definitely be checking out this spoopy October. So let's go. Alright, first up on this horror list is something that I really love, and I have to watch it every October, and it's another anthology film like our certain boy Sam over here. By the way, check out Trick or Treat if you haven't already. But it is a horror film, Creepshow. Now, I absolutely love Creepshow. It is a perfect blend of all these various anthology stories of just, you know, horror, body horror, animal creature horror, zombie horror. There are so many different aspects to go at, and it has like itself where it's very tongue-in-cheek in some areas, but there are some areas where it's just like, okay, that is just horrifying. And I love showing this to everyone every October. Highly, highly recommend Creepshow if you haven't already. Fun anthology series with a fun little Crypt Keeper knockoff, even though technically I wonder if he came before Crypt Keeper or something like that. But anyways, I highly recommend checking out Creepshow. By the way, it's just a great, great thing. And then watch Creepshow 2. I believe Creepshow 2 is also on there as well. And then after you watch that, you'll understand this reference. Thanks for the ride. But anyways, moving on to the next one. After that, we've got the horror documentary Into Darkness, which just talks about all the classic 80s horror movies that we know and love, and like all the stuff behind the scenes about them, learning how they were made, learning about the process behind them, and learning about all their legacies and stuff like that. It is such a great experience, especially if a horror fan, or if you're just someone who loves people like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, all these classic 80s slashers. You will definitely love checking this out. Highly recommend it. It's on there right now, and you can check it out for yourself. Next up, here's one for y'all who just want, like, not something super scary, but something that's going to just give you a fun night out. Like, if you're just drinking with some buddies, or if you're just, well, I guess we wouldn't be doing that because we're in quarantine, if you're good, and that's how we fix that line. But if you were just wanting to chill at home and watch something with some gore, but not too scary, and actually will crack you up a bit, that it's so bad it's good, then I actually recommend checking out Tammy the T-Rex. I watched it with a couple friends recently. We were laughing our asses off through the entire thing. Like, the dinosaur animatronics are just so bad. The way certain characters act are just ridiculously cartoonish. It is one of those so bad it's good movies, and it will honestly keep you cracking up if you don't take it too seriously at all. This is a movie that I don't look at like to go, oh, this is going to win an Oscar. No, this is definitely some Razzie level crap, but it is hilarious all the way through, and I highly recommend checking it out. So go bless yourself. But in the same vein of something that's horror comedy, but this one's more of a horror in the aspect and actually pretty well done on the rewatch, that would be the movie Brain Damage. Now, if you haven't seen Brain Damage, it's about this little worm that comes from outer space that is trying to consume brains. And the way it does this is by latching on to people and bonding with them and making them feel really good. And then shenanigans ensue with, you can already guess what, the movie's called Brain Damage. So I highly recommend this one. This is one I always watch just like occasionally because I remember it from my childhood. Like, what the heck was I watching in my childhood when I watched it? But the voice of the worm was actually done by John Zachary, who, if you don't know that is just a horror icon from the 70s, 80s. Great voice actor, very spoopy time voice actor that everything he did was just so great. Rest in peace. And his voice as the worm is just so incredibly well done and so entertaining and so charming. And then he does horrible things, but that's what makes it great to watch, and highly recommend Brain Damage. And my final pick is most definitely Rise of Leslie Vernon Behind the Mask. It is phenomenal mockumentary about this slasher who, in his world, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, all these like well-known slashers, they're real. They're real in his world, and he idolizes them, and he's trying to become like them. And then just talks about all the slasher tropes of like, okay, if the kids are running this fast, how am I just gonna walk after them and make it look like I'm actually keeping up with them? And so like he talks about like the whole thing of how when the time comes, he's sprinting left and right, and he has to do so much cardio, and then like the makeup they put on to prevent themselves from burning and all this other stuff, and how to survive like being killed and how to like stay underground. It's just such a great movie. I highly recommend it. It goes from being like comedy to like getting gradually worse as the movie goes on, sort of like a man bites dog scenario. And oh my God, I love this movie. Cannot recommend it enough. It needs more praise. It needs a sequel. It just needs everything about it. Like, I love Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon. And all of these are on Shudder. You can check them out for yourselves. Again, Jim, thank you for letting me join you today. And I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Keep calm and booyah on. Don't forget, Moments High. I got to go film some videos. So, see ya.
Thanks, Jax. That was cool. All right. Thank you very much to Jax Blade for helping me out with this video and giving some true horror fan Shudder recommendations. You should sign up for Shudder. It's actually a pretty cool streaming service. I actually quite liked it going through it just now. And you can tell a real horror fan really likes it, like Jax Blade. You should check out his channel. He makes some really great content. Now, before I go, here are some films you can watch that are just horror classics that are free, that are not just on Shudder, because I know everyone's hurting right now and looking for stuff. But here's some good ones for any horror fan, because I get a lot of like, what should I watch during my horror movie watch month, basically. Night of the Living Dead is free. It's in the public domain. It's on YouTube. If you've never seen it, it is right there. Some people have restored it. There's many different versions. You can check it out. As well as Peacock, for the most part, has most of the Universal, classic Universal monster movies for free on that service. You just have to sign up. Some are under a paywall. Most are not. They don't have everyone, but if you're trying to like make a lot of, watch a certain amount of horror movies a month, old horror movies are short, so I would recommend that if you've never seen some of those as well. Anyway, I just wanted to throw those out there because I know people are looking for cheaper ways to watch stuff right now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed these Shudder recommendations. If there's a movie on Shudder that you would like to recommend, please leave it below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and check out and subscribe to myself, as well as check out some stuff from Jack's Plate. And thanks for watching. And we're still watching. You know what I'm doing. Anyway, I know Tubi has stuff. I just wanted to go for because the Universal Monster stuff's cool. I don't know. You're right, Tanner Lance. All right, so I have 3 Patreon questions, and then we'll get to real questions. Chat questions, and go on from there. All right, so Will says, seeing so much coverage of Dylan O'Brien in both Love and Monster Problems and Education of Frederick Fitzel has me really delighted. Underrated actor who seriously needs more work after the cusp of the Maze Runner's whispers, along with the series director, despite being the voice of Bumblebee. Oh, I forgot about that. And appearing in that American Assassin thing that nobody saw except for me. Why do you think he hasn't been cast in more commercial affairs? Surprised me he hasn't been drafted into the MCU yet. I don't know. A lot of people have wondered why he hasn't found that perfect thing or been drafted in the MCU. I know his accident he had on the set of the third Maze Runner kind of messed things up for him. Especially he did that online video recreation of the thing from The Social Network. And there always is a lot of talk about him. I think he's very promising. I think he should actually get better roles. It might just be they don't have the right role for him, but it feels like if you get like a good kind of fun action movie, that would actually really work for him. He's also picking good stuff. Like we've been hearing a lot about him. He's picking interesting projects. Feels like he's not picking the typical, the American Assassin thing really didn't work out for him. So, because everyone forgets he was in it, and it was a pretty forgettable movie. So, I can see him having a better career later, but he feels sort of like kind of a lead actor who people aren't noticing enough, but enough people, when they see him in something, remember him. He just needs to, the Maze Runner things weren't notable enough, which unfortunately kind of hurt him. But I am surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the MCU or somebody big movie like gobbles him up at some point. Sinram asks, bad news, Jim. Disney has announced a live-action version of The Simpsons. Which, by the way, when I first read this, I was like, I had to look this up, but I don't think they are. Disney has announced a live-action version of The Simpsons, which means the characters will be rendered using realistic CG animation. You have been drafted to serve as the film's casting director. Please state your choices for the actors who shall provide the voices of Homer, Marge, and Mr. Burns. I would be very sad if this was my job. Let's say Patrick Stewart for Mr. Burns. Marge, I'm going to go with... Oh, man, I don't know. Homer and Marge would be tough. Because can't we just get the original voices? That would be my first, and they'd say no. Maybe for Homer, I'd go with Kevin James, and Marge I'd go with maybe Caitlin Olsen or whoever from It's Always Sunny. I'll go with that. Why'd you make me do that, Sinram? God damn you. This is his revenge for Rocky IV. Okay, Austin. This is the last one of the Patreon ones. Hey, Movie Chat. So, movie question is, with trying to make the Spider-Man movie, the worst Spider-Man movie ever, and with the recent release of the smash Halloween hit Hubie Halloween, can you, Jim, try to create the plot of the worst Adam Sandler film, the nuclear option for not getting nominated for Uncut Gems? Few rules. Kevin James must have a supporting role. It must have promotion from a fast food restaurant and have one notable one-hit wonder celebrity from the 90s. Okay, so Kevin James, the band Sugar Ray, and Adam Sandler must run a Subway restaurant. But in the Subway restaurant, they find the lost gold of City Slickers 2, and they have to bring the gold to a video store that only has City Slickers 2 in it, and that's the plot. It would be called the Footlong of Destiny. Yeah, I don't know if I did that right. Anyway, let's get to the questions. I think... No, wait, hold on. I was going to answer the first question. I was wrong. Okay, first question. Favorite John Carpenter film? Nathaniel Foga, probably Halloween. The Thing and They Live are a close second. Zane Powers, going back to earlier when you didn't want to show Soviet scary movies, what about how people say kids' movies in the 80s were so hardcore and scary that kids today are sissies in comparison? Okay, well, those, I'm talking about 3 years old versus, those, I think some of those were a little too scary for certain audiences. I do think it is a little more sanitized than it used to be, and it's fun to scare, but you have to be older. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think they'd have to be older and know how to handle those things. I think, you're exposing kids very young, that's not so good. M Blood T, I can smell again and will leave my quarantine room this Wednesday at the same time cinemas will reopen in my country this week. Will it be stupid if I go, or am I too immune? I would be careful. I would say just wait. But if you're going to go, try to, wear a mask, wear protective gloves, all that stuff. Sit away from people. Be careful. That's what I would say if you're going to do it. Not plausible. What country was Kane a citizen of? America. Austin, favorite Universal monster? I would actually say my favorite is Dracula, but I probably like more of Frankenstein's movies, if that makes sense. Cornbread, advice for getting unblocked by Barack Obama and Twitter asking for a friend. I mean, you should have reviewed Alf. That's all I'm going to say. Zane Powers, questions, thoughts on Texas suing Netflix over Cuties. I didn't cover this, but I think it is just everyone, after seeing Cuties and not really thinking there was much there, I think this is more of them doing, kind of performance politics and things like that. I think it is grossly kind of a waste of, public service to do something like this, but I also think it's going to dissuade Netflix from doing controversial, edgier stuff. I think that's why you saw Borat 2 go to Amazon, which was almost at Netflix, apparently. And I tweeted out earlier this week that I thought that's probably what happened. I don't have any actual source on that, but that's why I said it was very much a rumor. But I think that's what we're going to see. I don't think, because they lost subscribers, because of all this nonsense, I think we're going to see the other streaming services like Amazon, like Hulu, pick up those more controversial things, which will work out for them and hurt Netflix in the long run, actually. Ace the Wind Rider, what do you think is the limit for Freddy Krueger? Like, what kind of dream is considered too weird for him? Probably something if someone was like doing something with their parent or something. I don't know. Probably like maybe a wet dream. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Bruce Parker, after doing Clerks animated, are you considering doing Spaceballs animated? Something? No, Bruce Parker. No, I do not like. I'm not going to sit through Spaceballs animated. Should I review Spaceballs? Sure. Not Spaceballs. Oh God, that was such a bad show. Cornbread, do you think we'll get a sequel series to classic Halloween film Hubie Halloween starring Kevin James, released on Quibi, titled Quibi Halloween? I mean, knowing Netflix and Adam Sandler, I'm sure that's probably being considered if it's doing well. Zane Powers, who is worse, Max Landis or Josh Trank? I would say Max Landis. What do you think, Buster? Huh? Take it away, Travis and Dante. What's the weirdest horror film you've seen? Nathaniel Foga. Probably Blood-Sucking Freaks. Question, how are you also Meow Meow, I Am Scared Cat? What? I don't... Okay. Watch the Tom Cruise Mummy movie. I never did. I don't know if I would. Question, remember when we watched the Flintstones list? Nice, Austin. Evil Ira asks, have you heard... Now, what am I doing? Have you heard of Lackadaisy? It's an upcoming animated pilot about gangster cats in the 20s. They've released rough... No, that sounds really cool. I'm into that. Maybe I'll check it out. Thank you, Evil Ira. Question from Tannerlands, what animation director and or studio do you think would be a really good choice to make an animated horror film? Probably Pete Docter with Pixar, but most likely Gendy, but it would have to be Adult Swim. Whoever directed The Willoughbys, that might work also. When are we getting Toilet Paper the movie? Well, we're running out of content, so probably soon. Not plausible. For your Dunkachino review, you should have replaced your Red Bull with Dunkachino coffee. Well, I did it here, so I guess, I don't know. I guess I should have previously ordered a Dunkachino. Question, what would happen if I viewed the world like Friday the 13th? You'd be you know, everything would be from your point of view while you stab people. I guess that's what it would be like. Is Wish Upon the best, worst horror movie of the 2010s? I don't know if I saw that, so I don't know. The Westerner, anyway, do you think Brad Bird would have made a good director for Star Wars Episode 7? Yes, I think he would have, actually. But I think I do like 7. No, that's 9. Oh, 9, not 7. Yeah, I think he probably would have. Wow, Buster, you got a lot of... Anyway, sorry, I'm cleaning Buster at the same time. Thoughts on Halloween is Grinch Night? Never seen it, so I don't know. Yeah, Brad Bird would have done a good episode 9. Sorry. I haven't seen it. I've thought about it because it's such a weird idea, the Grinch in a Halloween special. Question, why don't the edgelords who love Batman vs. Superman and the Snyder Cut ever talk to praise Fantastic Four? I don't know. That's a good question because they're about par of quality. I think because an edgy Fantastic Four doesn't represent as much as edgy Batman, Superman. Cornbread, can you go a bit more into your thoughts about disliking the mindset of some that want a live-action remake of Star Wars Clone Wars / SpiderVerse so they can make it more serious? I don't know, more serious. I think the people who want that sort of thing, I think they think like if something's live action, it's suddenly something that is more important, and I just don't agree with that. I don't understand the philosophy behind it. It's like just this thing, but it's in live action, so people take it more seriously. To me, it's like, what's the point of that? Like, you should just get them to take the actual thing more seriously. You shouldn't have to adapt it into something else. That's such a limiting perspective. I don't understand that. I guess that answers that. Anyway, who would win in a fight? Ben 10, Kim Possible, or Danny Phantom? I've never watched Ben 10 that much. I did, but it's been a while. I would say maybe Kim Possible, then Danny Phantom, and then Ben 10 would lose. Not plausible. Can you see some sort of a way to make a covert-centered comedy? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that will happen. I mean, we'll have to. You're going to have to laugh at some of this at some point. What is your least favorite sweeping generalization from Zane Powers? Anytime someone says a group of people is lazy, I don't like that. I think that's a lazy way to think, to be honest with you. People say that. Have you played any good video games lately? From Carter Wright. Sophie and I played Pokemon. We played a Sonic game, like app stuff. So Pokemon Go, probably, because I still like that. Did anyone else see Hubie Halloween? I guess, I don't know. Sorry. Why do the Oscars still act like streaming movies are lesser and try to do everything in their power to not have to nominate them for Zane Powers? I don't know. It's kind of an old way of thinking that doesn't really work anymore. I know Spielberg, one of the reasons he pushed Green Book so much actually was because he didn't want Roma to win, which seems, I don't know why. I think it's just this way of thinking or preserving the theatrical experience, but I think those same people aren't helping different kind of movies being made. It's just like gatekeeping for the sake of it, but they're not thinking about the proper context, I think. And maybe a couple more. Secret. Okay. Are you looking forward to blowing up? Blowing up? What do you mean? Exploding? I don't want that. Do you think Texas will sue Netflix for Huey Halloween? Yeah, probably. What is a cartoon idea you would like to see in a show? I don't know. Maybe OKKO and Sonic. Are you going to check out Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo? Is written and directed by Maxwell Adams and has Elvira, Bill Nye, and Scarecrow from Batman in it. No, I am not, but if I had the time, I would, I guess. Do you have a favorite horror movie from the 40s or earlier? Cat People. Cat People's a great movie. You should see that. When you first saw it, what did you think of Trump's appearance in Home Alone 2? When I first saw Home Alone 2, I didn't know who Trump was, so I didn't think much of it. It took me it was maybe 10 years before he was elected president that I knew he was in that. Why haven't you read Beetlejuice? I don't know. Good question. Who would win in a fight, John Kay or Butch Hartman? I'm going to say John Lasseter. Alright. I think that's it. Have you seen Capone? No, I haven't, Austin. Sorry. Is that it? Are you going to check out... Okay, no, I answered that. Oh, sorry. Discount Vincent says, how do you like your pizza? I like pepperoni and sausage, actually. But I like pepperoni. I'm diverse about my pizza, but if I'm just eating it by myself, I can order it. It'll be pepperoni and sausage. That's how I grew up. That was my pizza growing up. Thank you for the last super chat of the night. Cheers to you, Discount Viscount. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. I hope I got everyone's super chat there. No, I'm nervous. All right, that's it. We're done. It's time to go. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Check out the videos I made this week, including the Dunkachino review, which I know you all have. But hey, you can watch it again. The Gorillas Pink Phantom review, the recommendations for Netflix with Cinram, as well as the Clerks animated review. There will be a YouTube premiere of every ABC Saturday morning show ever this coming week, so you can check that out if you would like to. And I will put up the thing that day on YouTube. I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. I'm hoping for Wednesday, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Have a good night, and I will see you all next time. And subscribe if you would like to. Have a good night. Thank you very much.